I'm originally from Alaska. My family moved here a while ago, so I've spent most of my life here in Georgia. I come from a very traditional family. I had a mom, a dad, 3 younger brothers, and an older sister. I was also raised in the church. My dad was heavily involved in church leadership at the church that we attended. When I was in about the 4th grade, my dad began molesting me. He continued to abuse me physically and sexually for about 4 years. And then the summer before I entered the 8th grade, he was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. He had a tumor the size of a golf ball on the left side of his brain, and he was told that he had less than 6 months to live. He was in the hospital for a few months, and then eventually he got better. His cancer went into remission, and he returned to our home. After he came home, he began abusing me physically again. During this time period, I just felt like everything was hopeless. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt alone. I felt like I wasn't worthy of life. I was very angry. I was very emotional. No one in my family knew what was happening, so I just felt trapped. One day I decided that I was just either going to tell someone or I was going to die. And so I told my older sister. About 2 weeks later, we told our mom. And then a few days after that, my dad was arrested and he was taken from our home. He was bailed out of jail a few days later because of his condition. We didn't have contact with him from the time they left our home for about 2 to 3 years. And then one day, someone from his family contacted us and told us that, your dad's not doing really good, and if you want to speak with him before he dies, then now's the time. And I was very angry with him. I was very angry, and I felt so much hatred toward him for the life that I felt that he had sentenced me to. And so I wanted to go see him and tell him how I felt. And when I got there, he wasn't the dad that I'd hated so much. He looked completely different. He was on steroids and chemo, and so he gained lots of weight. He could barely speak, and he couldn't talk very much. But he communicated with me over and over again while I was there that he was very sorry for what he had done to me, and he was very sorry for what he had done to our family. And I don't know why, but God put it on my heart to forgive him that day, and I did forgive him. I met with him several times after that. I visited him at the hospital. And then a few months later, he moved to Mississippi to be with his parents. He could no longer take care of himself, so he moved there, and they cared for him. While he was there, I called him just every few weeks or a few months just to see how he was doing. I remember calling him towards the later part of December in 2004, and his family told me that he could no longer speak, that he'd lost the ability to speak, and that basically he was in a coma. My dad died December 5th of 2005, and we buried him December 9th of 2005. I experienced lots of pain in losing my dad, but ever since being able to forgive him, God has just allowed me just an amazing healing process. Lots of victims of sexual abuse have scars and just habits and just so many things that come with being a victim of abuse, and God shielded me from all of those things, and he's just granted me so much favor. And when you're abused, it affects the way you look at the world around you. It affects how you view yourself. It affects how you treat people. It affects how you let people treat you. And God has just undone so much of that for me.